Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into Club Jaguar, your favorite Wednesday night Jaguars live show, podcast, whatever you call this thing. It's a lot of fun. And like I said, it's right here on two different channels, my channel at UCF Jaguar and also Jordan's channel at GenJag every single Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Super happy to have you guys all on here. But without further ado, we'll go ahead and bring in the co-host. We got, like I said, Jordan DeLugo from GenJag. What's up, Jordan?
Not a whole lot. Just got done talking to James a little while ago. Learned about Travis Hunter's, joining the Dads Club here.
Heck yeah.
So that's pretty awesome for him.
Maybe he'll be a boy dad.
I didn't even know his wife was pregnant. So good for her. Good for him. Awesome.
Yeah, we need another addition to maybe the boy dad club. So
hell yeah.
We'll definitely see what that is. But that was certainly an excellent statement by you, Jordan. Next up, we'll bring in Jason from Jaguars United. What's up, Jason?
Yeah, not much, man. If you guys need some tips on being a dad, just let me know. I wrote a book a couple years ago. You can find it on Amazon. It's Jaguars United Dad Tips. So you can check that out. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So.
I feel like I'll be looking for a while for that.
No, it's there. Number one New York Times bestseller, so it's probably pretty easy to find.
It's impressive. That's impressive. I never saw that out of you, my man.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm a writer. Some people don't know that.
Yeah, some people don't. Hey, whatever can make you a buck,
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
That is all good. So, hey, today, honestly, I think today's kind of an underrated day. I know a lot of people have different milestones on the NFL calendar, but I really love when the roster not only breaks down to 53 players, but after waiver wires are processed, just because so much has actually built up to this point, right? I mean, you have, free agency, you had the NFL draft, you have undrafted free agents as well. You put your roster at 90 players and so much work goes into that. But then you have training camp and preseason where you chisel the roster down. And then after everything's down, you look at other teams to see who's available. Then boom, you have your final 53 man roster. Of course, the Jaguars didn't make any moves on the waiver wire today, but this morning they did trade for Tim Patrick. So 53 man roster is here. The Jaguars are set, locked, and ready to move forward. This is the 53 that we have going forward right now. So I want to get everyone's thoughts, man. Jordan, what were your thoughts, I guess, just of today and, even going back to just this last week or so when it comes to just building this final roster?
It's been a whirlwind, man. Honestly, preseason, training camp, final 53 or initial 53, the whole thing is just it's like time is standing still and speeding all at once. It's crazy for me just trying to cover it all. But overall, I mean, the biggest takeaway I have from the Jaguars 53 is the amount of veteran depth throughout the roster that is there now that wasn't there in years past.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Jason? What were some of your thoughts?
My thoughts is that it's a completely different roster than last year, which I like.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of turnover. If we would have trotted out the same dudes as last year, I would have been pretty numb and not excited. But the fact that I can look at every position group and see new faces. I mean, the group that had the least amount of turnovers, the running back group, and they drafted two guys into that group. So I'm pretty excited that there's going to be a lot of new faces. Going to have to get used to seeing numbers and names on the field, which I'm excited about. Maybe these guys will fit better into what Cohen's trying to do. If I were Liam Cohen and James Gladstone, I would have done the same thing. I would have just turned over the roster. So I'm pretty excited to see a fresh group of guys and just a new Jaguars team this year.
But does it concern you at all that 1 year ago, this was the best set of players the Jaguars ever put forth in franchise history? And just 1 year later, we got 25 new players?
Think how good we were going to be this year if we had the best roster of all time last year. And then now we're even better.
We have the best set of coaches, the best set of players.
Yeah.
I mean complete turnover. I mean, we're really chiseling down and getting the best of the best now. But yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. So yeah, the Jaguars, they made a lot of moves. I think one big takeaway here is just the way James Gladstone has kind of moved this thing, right? I mean, I remember a couple weeks ago, I was like, man, I think the Jaguars need to improve in two different positions on the waiver wire, right? And I said, I think defensive tackle is something that the Jaguars will need, some depth there. And instead of waiting for the waiver wire and seeing kind of what what was kind of available there. He, you know, went out there and basically traded for one, right? And Colin Saunders, player for player trade. And then just this morning, right? They wanted a big body wide receiver 5 that could really block down field and stuff like that, and do kind of what I guess similar role as Tim Jones, probably hopefully a lot better, you know, especially in actually the catching of the ball territory. And he went out there and actually traded for one instead of seeing what was available. So all in all, like the kind of moves that he made this last couple of weeks, and even, you know, you're going to wind up cutting Fred Johnson. Instead of cutting him, you get a 7th round pick back, right? So just a lot of movement, enough movement to where the Jaguars didn't need to make any. I guess no waiver claims actually went through. I think there might have been some put in. I think James Gladstone kind of alluded to, like, yeah, they were kind of out there, but of course the Jaguars had the 5th priority, so they don't get the top priority there. So
yeah, he was pissed they couldn't trade up.
Yeah, that's what he alluded to. Yeah, we can't trade up. We got what we got. I wonder, doesn't it come out at some point when like teams unsuccessfully try to claim players, or does that information
I don't remember.
I think what we know is that the Jags were like 5th on the waiver wire order, and like all 4 teams ahead of them claimed somebody. So I would imagine the only 2 scenarios are the Jags were completely happy with who they have, they didn't try, or they tried to get one of the players one of those other 4 teams tried to get. So that's what we know. But either way, it's good because that means they were picking the same players the other teams wanted, or they're happy. So it's kind of a win-win.
I want to live to see the day where you can trade future waiver wire claim orders, right? We could have traded our claim for next year over to the Browns again and gotten our player that we wanted this year. So.
Oh, the NFLPA would never allow that. They would never allow that.
Could you imagine trying to keep up with that crap? Yeah.
Nah. I can't even keep up with conditional draft picks. I can't even keep up with that. So add something else, I'd be lost.
Hard pass.
I had forgot that the Jaguars, they have like a 3rd round conditional from the Lions, but it's going to be the end just because of the Aaron Glenn thing. I was like, dang, I was hoping. I forgot about that one with the trade back. But speaking of the trade back, man, it was kind of sad news today about just Caleb Ransaw. I mean, he was always kind of in the back of our minds with the injury. He wasn't really around during training camp, kind of like this week-to-week thing. He was in the boot, but then we kind of got the kind of alarming news yesterday when the 53-man roster came out that he's basically on the IR and he's out for the year. James Gladstone was pretty transparent about kind of what happened when it comes to just a non-contact type of thing. Tried to put him in the boot. I guess it didn't heal up right, and he's going to be out for the year. So I don't know if it was a Liz Frank or whatever it is. It's kind of concerning to me because I feel like I would be less concerned if I heard that he like tore his ACL, because it sucks. You shove them for a year, but they can kind of come back, and usually ACL recoveries, you know, they come back pretty well usually from that. But if it's a Liz Frank or whatever it is, I don't want to speculate on the injury. It's just
sounds
kind
like
of worries me.
Speculating.
Yeah.
I think I am speculating, but they weren't clear about what the injury was.
No, and they don't have to be right now. That's kind of the deal, but we'll find out eventually. And it is what it is. Whether it was an ACL, which obviously it wasn't, but whatever injury it was, modern medicine has come such a long way. I mean, if you're talking about a Liz Frank, Travis Etienne is a perfect example of how you can come back from that and still look very explosive.
Yeah. So
yeah, Daniel hit it on the head, man. I was with his comment is I was really expecting, hoping to see this, because like Ransaw was known as like a dominant athlete. I got a guy that works for me who worked at Troy when Ransaw was there, and he said that like dude's one of the most freakish athletes of all time. So like I was in my head, Tyson Campbell, Ransaw, Travis Hunter, Jordan Lewis, even throw Dewey Wingard out there. I mean, that secondary is flying around with that group. I really wanted to see that, but at least he's young, first-year player. We could see him next year, hopefully. But yeah, that speed and that athleticism that we could have seen with that group would have been like fantastic.
Yeah, it sucks. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
sucks.
there's no other way to put it. It sucks. I mean, he was the first pick after Travis Hunter in that draft, and you know, we're not going to see him this year. And of course, Wyatt Milam will start the year as a backup. So I guess limited action from any of our first day. Of course, you know, we have Travis Hunter, but we're not going to have really that much impact from our day 2 picks going into the season. So yeah, I mean, there's no other way to put it than it sucks, right? I mean, there was going to be a role for him. Obviously, the Jaguars needed speed. He had plenty of the speed, and you know, we didn't even really get to see him in training camp much, right? We never really got to actually see what he was going to be able to bring to the table. So
There
yeah,
there were flashes in training camp before he got hurt, and the flashes were nice because again, he was a dude that like you could just see the way he can break on the ball. And the way he can make plays that nobody else in that secondary has the ability. I shouldn't say secondary. In that safety room, really has the ability to do. And then the fact that he was such a sound tackler, that was one of the biggest things that you saw from him on tape outside of his athleticism. And this was a team that was really bad in the tackling department last year. He was one of those guys they brought in that was going to be an upgrade in that department, and not any longer. And so you now have Eric Murray, who's been an okay tackler throughout his career, and Dewey Wingard, who's also been an okay tackler throughout his career. They might have a higher floor because of their experience, but they do not have the ceiling that Caleb Ransaw was going to bring.
Yeah, absolutely not. And that, go ahead, Jason.
I'm picking your statement just a little bit apart here. I think Dewey Wingard's an exceptional tackler. I think his deficiencies are other places, but like
statistically, he's not. And Dewey, if we want to like really get into the minutia of tackling, I think in short areas he is very good. I think his biggest issue in tackling is when he has to close from distance, and he's going up against a bigger dude because it's just like, you know, whatever the physics of that just don't work out in his favor. Right. But I like him better closer to the line of scrimmage as a pursuit player. I do think he can play on the back end more in coverage, but neither of these guys is great coming from distance, closing, and making a tackle. And Caleb Ransaw was excellent in that regard.
Yeah, and it's just, to me, it's a little bit concerning because we have, you know, we've had Dewey on the team since the Doug Marrone days, and the first opportunity to start on week 1, I should say, is here. 4 coaches later, 5 coaches, 6 coaches later.
Didn't he get hurt one year, like game 1 when he was supposed to start? Am I misremembering that? You guys probably remember it. I thought one year like he was slated as the starter and got hurt. Maybe I'm wrong.
I can't remember, honestly.
Yeah.
I know that I think it was 2 years ago. He had like, they deployed 3 safety looks a lot, and he had a legitimate role that maybe wasn't like a true starter, but like was in the game regularly for a stretch. Something like that.
I remember he had a nice pickoff in 2020 in week 1, our only win against the Colts. And that was pretty cool. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what he can do.
I mean, every year he has gotten playing time. But you know, his career missed tackle rate's like 15%. It's been better when he's been closer to the line of scrimmage or closer to the ball carrier. But overall, I think that those guys do provide a floor with their smarts.
True. He is very like instinctual. Like
and Murray is too.
That's a thing you can't like quantify with stats or PFF is like instincts. And I think Dewey's always had that. I think that's why he's always been a fan favorite, you know, and I think that's why coaches have always liked him. I think that's why he stuck around for so long. There's some guys that just have instincts, and you can see it on film. You can see it when you watch him play. Doesn't show up in the stat box, but he's just always around the ball. And like there's something to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Eric Murray filled up the stat sheet last year with the Texans. That was a much different, probably better defense around him, quite frankly. But he has a chance. Both of those guys have a chance to make some plays on the back end.
Yeah. And what about any chance that Ryan Lane can crack the starting lineup at some point?
I think it's a steep task for him to try to do that. They really, I think, just right now are really focused on him being their new Daniel Thomas, which is their special teams ace.
Jordan, come on.
And shout out to Daniel getting to go play for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, Jaguars had quite a few players picked up off of waivers. Of course, Chad Muma to the Colts. You had Jordan Jefferson to the 49ers, Daniel Thomas to the Detroit Lions, and Tyler Lacey. He went to the Lions too, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Who do you think has the best chance to be successful out of those guys?
Jordan
the
Lewis.
Guys we lost?
Or Jordan Jefferson.
Yeah, the guys that were picked up from our cut list.
I mean, Daniel Thomas will be successful in his role.
I mean, we'll see with Jordan Jefferson. I mean, he's going to go over there with, I think, Robert Saul is the defense coordinator over there, right? I mean, he's always done good work with defensive linemen. Maybe the fit wasn't right here. Somebody can bring the most out of him. I mean, I know he never inspired me too much, but we've also seen we've seen a bunch of these guys, right? A bunch of these guys.
I think Tyler Lacey might be in line for the best situation.
Yeah.
It's one of those two defensive tackles, I would say.
Not Muma? They don't move Muma to safety, his college position, and he flourishes?
Man, that boy can't play in space.
Man, dude, him against running backs. We all remember the Bijan Rob. I mean, of course, Bijan's probably pretty hard one-on-one in space, but
I know, but
never
that's
made
happened to him
mistakes.
throughout his career in practice. It happened the other night against Miami.
Yeah.
My boy Washington just left him grasping for air. It was awful.
Yeah, too many moments. There's too many moments in my head that I remember where he just it just wasn't good. It wasn't good. So I do also want to give a couple shout outs too. I mean, you always got to give shout outs to the undrafted free agents that make the roster, right? So big shout out to Danny Strigo, who's a really good story, right? I mean, played for Minnesota. He was actually a late addition to the Senior Bowl. They basically called him up. Basically when they started up, I said, hey, we had a guy drop. Can you make it over here? Went right over there, played really well in the Senior Bowl. Not well enough to get him drafted, but just came to the Jaguars, worked his butt off, was making plays in, every single preseason. And he earned the right on the roster. I mean, they didn't, for a while it was like, okay, is this just a placeholder here? But they didn't make any claims. So he he earned his way on the roster, so that'll be really interesting. And also, BJ Green II, another guy comes over from Colorado with Travis Hunter. He was another guy had a really high pressure rate throughout the preseason. He showed some really good stuff. I know both these guys probably pretty big beneficiaries of just the Jaguars wanted to add another pass rusher early on in the draft, but it just never fell to them right. But they earned their right on this roster, and two undrafted free agents make it on a defensive line. So Jordan, I want to hear your thoughts on both of these players.
Yeah, I mean, the crappy thing is, even though they're on the team right now, that still doesn't guarantee anything. It's still a very fluid situation, but they are on the team right now, and that's awesome. They made it through training camp. They made it onto a roster to start their career, which is pretty darn cool for an undrafted free agent. Now, Danny Strigow, to me, full effort, full intensity all the time. Not going to be your most explosive, athletic dude, but he just brings it. And his story is kind of emblematic of the way he plays. He plays the way you would expect somebody from that situation to kind of play. And then to me, BJ Green, he was the one that I tabbed of the undrafted free agent pass rushers that I thought would have the best chance to make the team after they announced that undrafted free agent list, just because you go back and look at him at Colorado and he's explosive. He has high energy. He can rush from multiple alignments. And you saw all of that during preseason, especially, but at times in training camp as well.
Yeah. So
Jordan's going to drop emblematic on us. Like this is some sort of post-grad Jaguars podcast. I like BJ Green. Strigow, what I like about Strigow is that he had 5 sacks at Minnesota. I do like that because he can get to the quarterback. I do like that. Gladstone kind of alluded to today they weren't done completely. So like Jordan said at the very beginning, those would be the two guys that were my candidates to be guys that do get cut if they bring someone else in.
Braswell would be on that list for me too.
That's fair. That's fair. Trammell was a guy that was on that list, and he did get cut. So I'm sure they had a conversation with Trammell that was like, hey, don't expect to be here. I hope they had that conversation with him.
Well, and I'm sure they're going to try to put him on the practice squad.
Right. And he probably will do okay. But yeah, I like it. The reality of it is, if either one of those two guys are in the game for too many snaps, then we're probably in trouble. So hope they do well in their careers. Hope they grow and blossom. But I don't want to see them too much this year, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what is always funny. We always have these discussions about end of the roster guys, but when they do make it on the field, it's usually not under the greatest situations. I remember Trammell, really good preseason last year. When he finally got to see some action on the field, he fumbled a punt against the Eagles, right? So it's we don't want to see these end of the roster guys play too much. We got to hope they can maybe develop and turn into something eventually. But yeah, was definitely interesting. I knew with Trammell, like that was the one guy I said, if there's anybody that's not safe from the 53, it's got to be this guy. Like, they just didn't have the big the big receiver on the roster yet. And, with Trammell, I was like, you could put him on the practice squad. I don't know how many teams are lining up to sign a guy kind of his stature, right? So hopefully we don't see too much of him. But yeah, we got Patrick this morning from the Detroit Lions via trade. A good amount of Jaguars and Detroit Lion kind of swapping over here, right? They get Lacey and Thomas, and then we get Patrick from them. So
plus the draft trade as well.
Yeah, plus the draft trade. I mean, there is a relationship there, right? Brad Holmes and Gladstone back with the Rams. So
and Mark Brunell.
And Mark Brunell. Is Mark Brunell still with the Lions?
I have no clue.
Yeah, yes. I don't know how well Mark Brunell and James Gladstone know each other, but Brunell definitely knows Baselli.
That's true. Yeah. That's a good point.
So I don't know.
Yeah. What's it called? Social says, "Is Muma a snitch?" This goes back to your.
We talked about this pre-show. I was like, I called it. Someone in the AFC South is going to snipe one of our guys for our playbook, and Muma probably sings like a songbird when he gets to Indianapolis.
Yeah. What's it called?
I'll tell you what, man. Oh yeah, go for it.
He says lots of veterans on this defense. Only young guy lacking experience is Mason Smith. Depth guys too. Lot of experience. Yeah, I mean that definitely speaks a lot. Just a lot of experience and the experience and speed. That just seems like the main difference between this year's roster and last year's roster.
And talent. Did we mention talent?
Yeah, I love Tim Patrick being here. I thought that was just chef's kiss. And again, you're not looking for a starting wide receiver. You're looking for a role-playing wide receiver, somebody who can come in and execute specific assignments and also provide a different type of skill from a receiving standpoint than what you have on the roster in terms of your depth. I honestly think, given a certain game plan, a certain matchup, you could see more Tim Patrick than De'Ami Brown. You could see more Parker Washington than either of them. I think that they can be interchangeable, not in the fact that they have the same skill sets, but the fact they have different skill sets and could be more beneficial for a certain game plan in a certain week. So I think that Tim Patrick, I would put him at wide receiver 5 right now, but I think that they now have a wide receiver 5 that can actually come in and do some things for them.
Well, I think a big thing here is that the Jaguars want to run a lot of wide receiver screens, right? And how effective is De'Ami Brown going to be at blocking downfield? What about like Parker Washington? I mean, he's a guy that can push some people and he can also catch the ball downfield. So I mean, you make a good point. I mean, he might have actually a bigger impact on this offense than we really think, especially with the way how the run game is going, right? Like if the Jaguars run game, just if they're not making it happen between the tackles, they're going to use more and more screens. And he could really carve out himself a role there for the Jaguars in 2025. So
I mean, he's on an expiring deal, I believe.
And he was
But
probably gonna. I mean, they love that Tesla kid, so
yeah,
it worked out well for both teams.
for sure. And that's just funny because again, Tesla is who they got in the trade with the Jaguars.
Yeah,
It's
lots of
all
players
it's
swapping
all
here.
coming full
It's
circle.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels weird making trades in the month of August. I'm not used to this type of activity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool that, and James Gladstone alluded to it today, they're never going to stop trying to improve the roster. That doesn't stop after the 53. That doesn't stop once the regular season starts. It's constant. It is going to be a constant turnover in terms of this roster and trying to improve the roster. And where the defensive line room is at right now compared to where it was like 2 weeks ago, I couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
Tyler
No.
Lacey was a starter 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
He didn't
It's-
make the team.
It's pretty nuts. And you also want to look back at, like, you know, it's not only is just the amount of roster turnover from this year to last year just really standing out in a big way, but also the 2024 draft class. Okay. I mean, we can go through it. Brian Thomas, Jim, probably one of the best picks Balky has made. I mean, he in a redraft, he might be the top wide receiver taken. Definitely the second wide receiver taken. Second round pick Mason Smith, kind of TB. You know, the jury's still out on him. We want to see a good second year, and also Jarian Jones too. I mean, both those guys showed some stuff their first year, but you know, we got to start stacking years. And then we get to the dirty part. Okay, Javon Foster, tackle, cut. Jordan Jefferson, defensive tackle, cut. Trey Prince, cut. Keelan Robinson didn't even make it to the beginning of training camp. He was cut before training camp even began. Cam Little, Jim. You could debate which one was the better value here, Brian Thomas or Cam Little, because Cam Little, that guy, I'm gonna let him play it out year 2, but he might become the best kicker in the league at the end of this year, and he might be that right now. And then Miles Cole cut, so that was really bad, and that's kind of his MO, right? I mean, in the first round, usually Balky drafts pretty well. In the second round, and on day 2, it always seems like he's drafting guys like a round ahead of usually where they're generally mocked in these different drafts, and usually way above what the consensus big board has players. And then day 3, he just goes, F it. I'm just going to pick the guys I want. And that's kind of been his thing. So, yeah, that's not good. Not good.
And what's funny is he's a much better drafter than he is free agent signing guy. Like, much better drafter. Like, if you stack up the guys he's signed in free agency, it's just abysmal. Like, his drafting was one of his best attributes. You know, I would say maybe constructing contracts he was decent at, but I mean, every GM's good at that. But like, he's better at drafting than he is picking up free agents, and he was still bad at drafting.
Yeah. To me, his biggest issue, well, he had a lot of issues. We don't need to.
Where do we begin?
Yeah. But if you get 4 draft picks that are hits out of a draft class, it's not really a bad class. I know there's a lot of names gone, but they just were always picking a ton of guys every year. They were always trading for these day 3 picks. So,
oh gosh,
yeah. But if you get four good guys out of a draft class, that's not bad.
Yeah, and that's just what I like. Like last year, you know, they just we don't have much pass rush, so what do right on roster cuts? Oh, let's trade Travis Gibson for a day 3 pick. It's like, why? Like, I like how Gladstone is attacking players, right? We need this player. Let's go out there and get him. Let's trade a day 3 pick, right? He's just making a lot of it happen as opposed to just stacking like 6th and 7th round picks and turning those picks into Miles Cole and Keelan Robinson, right? So,
well, he turned those picks into guys they're excited about right now. Jonah Monheim and Lee Quint Allen, right?
I mean, that's good. I'm talking about Trent Baalke using the picks that he got.
I know, but what I'm saying is when they do acquire these picks now, maybe there's actually some hope that they could hit on them.
I prefer like Monteric Brown and Gregory Jr. personally. Those are the late round guys I prefer.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with Buster.
Besides his, ability to get on the field.
I will say Buster's first game starting was pretty impressive because like it was Thursday night against the Saints and they were targeting him and he was holding his own. Like I think he had a
Saints?
game-winning pass breakup
He played well against the Saints
2 years
I mean, we
ago.
don't need to-
You're right. He's good. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Hey,
For a late round pick, I think being able to be somebody who a new regime thinks of as a reliable depth or even somebody competing to be a starter, that's a hit.
we also needed him in a pinch, right? You don't want him starting a whole season, but if he can come in there for a game or two and hold his own the way he did, I mean, it's good depth, right?
He also like listen, I like Buster Brown. Okay. The point of what I was saying was about Balky, who drafted Gregory Jr. in front of Monteric Brown from Wachita Baptist. Okay, that's my problem with Balky. It's not with Monteric Brown. It's the fact that this guy looked at both of these DBs and said, you know what? Greg Jr. is the better guy. Let's take him before Buster Brown. So it's hard for me to give credit to Trent Balky when he completely whiffed on a guy at the same position in the same draft. That's my point.
Hey, it makes sense.
Nobody needs to be throwing around too much credit to Balky right now, so I'm here for it.
You had some
I'm
nice
with you,
first round
Jason.
picks. You had some nice first round picks, Balky. But outside of that, your relationship management, your roster building, these ridiculous free agent contracts.
Just terrible, dude.
Yeah.
Just terrible. We're still like having to dig out of that hole.
We're still paying Gabe Davis, aren't we?
Where's the Gabe Davis? God knows if we're Arik Armstead's still alive or not. Like, we don't know what's going on with any of these guys, all right?
I mean, to be fair, he is practicing right now. He's been practicing for the last couple weeks.
I take it back then. I take it all back.
So you don't need to take it back. I mean, the
It's
issue
just
really
emblematic of what the Jaguars have been for the last few years.
Absolutely. That is the issue. Just bad decisions.
Yeah.
And many other issues too. But
yeah. So lots of roster turnover, obviously. 2024 draft didn't really go as planned. But I mean, here we are. We have the final roster. Really, really exciting stuff here. So yeah, now we kind of get a look at next week. I mean, just look, we're 8 days away from the actual season opener. I believe it's Eagles versus Cowboys next Thursday night, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. And obviously the Jaguars against the Panthers opening game. And this one, man, if you actually look at the schedule, it's like you don't want to call week one a must win, but man, like the way the Jaguars start the season, I mean, you had the Panthers who were not very good this preseason. I mean, there's a lot of big question marks around them. Jaguars, are pretty much everybody's kind of picking them nationally. Then you go and play the, I believe it's the Bengals on the road after that, then Texans at home. Then you have 49ers and then Chiefs on Monday Night Football. So with that one, like, yeah, you want to come out of these first 5 games like at least 2 and 3, and ideally you get one of those wins against the Texans. But like Jordan, with this Carolina Panthers game, are you calling this a must win?
Yes. If your job is to make the playoffs, if that is your task this year, you've got to beat the Carolina Panthers in week 1. You need to do it for confidence. You need to do it for the standings. You need to do it because of your schedule after that game. There's so many reasons it needs to happen. Biggest reason is they're a more talented team on paper than the Panthers. I mean, they should beat the Panthers.
Yeah.
The only thing I would just like little notation is that week 1s are always weird. Like every single year in week 1, weird stuff happens.
100%.
I know the Jags need to win. But I do know that week 1s are weird. You can look at all throughout history. You get the weirdest teams beating the weirdest teams, and you're like, oh, what? Everyone goes panic week 1, and then throughout the course of the season, it tends to even out. So I agree. I'm not saying I disagree with you, but just everyone remember week 1s are weird. You're going to see some like top ranked team lose a game they shouldn't lose week 1. That happens every year. So I just like to keep that in context. I hope it's not the Jags, but week 1s are always weird every single year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. Really, I mean, you can look a couple weeks into the season a lot of times, and it's like, what? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
But
it usually takes 4 weeks for things to really start to get a clear image of what teams are what and
the issue
stuff
is the
like that.
Jags don't have 4 weeks to F
That's fair.
around.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
they don't. We learned that last year, right?
You just got to hope that maybe we're the weird team that beats one of these teams, right? Like we're the weird team that beats the Chiefs. Like we're the weird team that beats the Bengals. Like that could happen too. So
Well, Jaguars overs, Bengals D is going to be fascinating. I mean, that
like,
could be a shootout.
I think I'm excited. You know, I was kind of down on this roster at the beginning of the season, like preseason. After kind of watching some stuff, like they've kind of brought me back, you know, and just because I've kind of like for example, like I wasn't pumped for our tight ends to be Hunter Long, Brenton Strange, and Johnny Mutt. Like that doesn't excite anybody. But when you see the way that Cohen uses them, and like Munt and Long being like extensions of your offensive line, you're like, oh, this actually like makes a lot of sense. So when I started to kind of see the way these players were being used, it got me a little more excited. So I am a little more optimistic than I was like a couple weeks ago for sure.
I don't want to like pump it up too much, but I do think almost every veteran stopgap type of player that they added is exactly in that mold that you're talking about. They have a specific vision for that player in their offense or defense, and it's a vision that that player has shown that they can execute.
Yeah. It's just hard when you look at the schedule though, because you know these first. So before the bye week, the schedule looks at home against Carolina, at Cincinnati, home against Houston, at San Francisco, Monday Night Football at home against the Chiefs, at home against the Seahawks, and in London against the Rams. So I mean, you know, at the very least, like 4 out of the first 5 games, I don't care what happens to these teams, the Jaguars are going to be the underdog in those games, right?
Yeah,
For sure.
So it's
there are
hard.
a couple
Like,
things that are interesting to note real quick. I just want to say Adam Thielen no longer in Carolina.
Rashee Rice not playing Kansas City.
Rashee Rice not playing
Joe
for the
Mixon?
Chiefs. Joe Mixon not playing for the Texans. So those are 3 things to keep in mind. I don't
Joe
think
Mixon kills the Jaguars. Jaguars have never been good against Joe Mixon.
I think that all those things matter. I don't think that they're going to change like the national narrative on who's going to win those football games, but I think that they do matter.
No, they do. And I mean, even history matters. Like if you start off the year 0-2, like statistically speaking, like your odds of making the playoffs are very low. And of course, it's not impossible, but man,
We've seen the Jags do it.
Have we? Have they started off 0-2? Oh, right? Yeah, no, we've seen them start off 0-2 and not made the playoffs plenty of times, right? I don't think we've ever started 0-2.
Oh, yeah,
the playoffs.
Okay, you're right. They were 1-1 in 2022.
Yeah.
And
2017, they beat the brakes off Houston week 1.
Yeah, they didn't start poorly. They were kind of middling for a while, and they got hot.
Yeah, they were like going around 500. They made a
96, maybe. Was it 96?
I mean, I don't
That was before Dalton was alive, so you can't cite that.
I was born in 2005. I'm just barely allowed to drink in Club Jaguar.
All right, let's see here.
But yeah, statistically speaking, it's like I think it's like I don't know.
They won week 1, right?
Daniel's in the chat. He can give us the number here. What's the percent of teams that make the playoffs that they're starting 0-2? It's definitely not in the Jaguars' favor. So, and a big one here is like even Houston in week 3, because like of course it's Houston. Of course it's at home against Houston. Jaguars haven't beat Houston at home since 2017. When, by the way, that was the year the Jaguars made the playoffs and Houston was dog water. So it's been forever since the Jaguars have beat them at home. And then after that, your next AFC South game isn't until week 10 when you play Houston again. So if you lose that one, you're going to be 0-1 in the AFC South until basically halfway through the season. So they have to get over that.
This is the classic Jaguars schedule where it looks incredibly favorable at the end of the year.
It does.
And that's
Trevor
when
Lawrence
have to make the run.
And Tyson Campbell and Travis Etienne, they'll all be injured. So I can't wait.
It would have been nice.
Let's not put that out there, buddy. Also, Daniel says 22% chance of making the playoffs at 0-2. That's not actually as bad.
It's not that bad. I actually thought it was going to be like 5 to 10%.
Yeah,
but at 0-2, and it obviously drops off a lot after 0-3. And I think only one team has made it at 0-4, the Chargers. I remember looking into that last year because that happened pretty recently, right?
of course.
If you look at the Chargers in 2002, they did it. So this the best roster and coaches of all time can do it. So yeah, and it's a shame we don't get Tennessee a little bit earlier because like Tennessee, they're one of those teams I think is going to start off really rough, but then at the end of the season they start winning some games. It's because they're that rebuilding team with nothing to play for. So we don't play them.
I'm a little worried about the Titans, man.
I'm not.
I'm worried about the entire AFC South. I think it's a tight division.
And maybe not even this year, but all the clips I'm seeing of Cam Ward, and I like Callahan. I know people don't. I like his offensive scheme, the way that he does things. I'm not gonna get into it, but I do like the way he like calls plays and his play scheme, what he does. I'm a little worried about that. Like I think that could be a problem for us going forward. Like if they can rebuild that roster to have some talent, I think
there is talent.
I'm a little worried. Like I'm more worried about them than I am the Colts or the Texans, to be honest with you. Not this year. Again, not this year, but like next year. Like I feel like the Titans and the Jags are kind of on the same trajectory.
Dude, you can't convince me that they're more of a problem than the Texans.
Not this year.
Not for the next 5-10 years.
I don't know.
The Texans have a core that I think almost every team in the NFL would trade for, outside of like the top 3 or 4 teams.
Yeah, but you look at what they did last year.
CJ Stroud,
it's kind of unimpressive.
Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, Nico Collins.
Names. You can give me names all you want.
D'Amico Ryans is one of the best young coaches in football, bar none.
According to what? According to
his record, according to me.
According
they
to
won a playoff game last year.
That's what I'm disagreeing with.
They won a playoff game last year. They had a bad year and they still won a playoff game.
Okay, but was anyone like the Texans from year 1, D'Amico Ryans, year 2, they had this great step forward.
I'm not sold on him either. I'm not sold on him either.
On offense, and so they made the move necessary to fire the offensive staff to bring in a different offensive staff. And I honestly feel very strongly about their chances, even with an offensive line on paper that doesn't look very good, to perform at a higher clip on offense this year because the scheme and the coaching will be better.
My issue with the Texans is that like they can't beat good opponents late in the season. Like they get these matchups against like the Ravens and the Chiefs and like
what happened
November
when they played
December.
The Chargers late in the season last year.
The Chargers
in the playoffs.
In the playoffs.
The Chargers are in the same boat as the Texans. They always do. They get to the playoffs and they unravel. So you have two teams. I mean, what did the Texans do on offense that got better this year? Like, what did they change their coaching staff? What else?
Their receivers are better.
Their receivers are better? How?
Nico Collins is healthy.
Okay.
Christian Kirk is a very good slot receiver. Yeah. And they drafted 2 really good receivers out of Iowa State.
Well, if they're from Iowa State, never mind. I'd take it all back. I didn't realize there were Cyclones.
Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll, baby. They're good. Good football players.
So let's talk about this because I was on the AFC South roundtable last night. And they had us give like what their record prediction for each team in the AFC South is, right? And I don't have that much belief in the Titans at right now. Like I think that their issue is they should have started the rebuild last year, but instead they they signed Calvin Ridley. They brought in, they traded for Snead. Like I feel like they accidentally sucked last year. It wasn't an intentional suck. They went out, they tried to build a roster, and they just kind of fell flat on their face and just kind of, I guess, committed at the end. I got the number 1 pick.
Yeah, the issue is that they have not had a congruent front office and coaching staff. They keep hiring them at different times, and that leads to different goals. And it's difficult to, have full cohesion and chemistry when you do that.
Yeah. No, it's so.
I disagree. You don't think I'm rational, level-headed? That's ridiculous.
So let's talk about it, okay?
Fluffington, love you, bro. Whoever you are.
So
Thank you.
we'll let Jason start off, and then we'll let the calm and rational one bring us home.
Yeah.
So what are your predictions for, I guess, roster predictions for each team in the AFC South? Because it feels like a lot of us have
predictions or win. What are you talking about?
record predictions. Sorry.
Okay.
I was like, you really
I don't know their roster. I'm sorry.
Where do you guys think they're going to claim on the waivers this next week? No, let's do. My mind is on roster right now. Okay, not
That's
record.
fair.
Okay,
That's fair.
let's get some. I guess. I mean, we don't.
Yeah,
know.
like maybe
Like
how
around the
you
win
think
total,
AFC
like
South will shape.
yeah, like rankings there, like about how many wins or whatever. I don't want to go into like, all right, give a exact record prediction.
Right.
But how do you feel
think,
about things?
I think the Texans will not be as good as people think. I think teams tend to trend a certain direction and then they go that way. It's rare to see teams bounce back and forth between good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. That almost never happens in the NFL. We saw the Texans pop off 2 years ago. Then we saw them trend down this last year. Like Jordan said, they replaced their entire offensive coaching
trended
staff
down by making the playoffs and winning a playoff
in a
game.
terrible AFC South and beating the Chargers. You can't convince me that that's a team that's destined to be good. Okay, that's the Jags did that. Okay, the Jags won the AFC South and beat the Chargers. Okay, so that's what we're talking about here. So I
and
think,
then they sat on their hands.
okay, that's what the Chargers do.
No,
That's what it is.
That's what the Jags did, is what I'm
I
saying.
think at the end
After
of the
that.
year, you're going to see what you saw this year. You're going to see the Texans and the Colts fighting for that AFC South. It's going to come down to the last week of the season, just like it did last year. And then I think the Jags will be in the mix potentially. So you're going to have a 3-horse race there for the AFC South. Someone's going to limp in to the AFC South playoff race. And then it's going to look a lot like it did last year. I think the Titans are not going to be like in the running for the playoffs, but I think they're going to start trending upwards because I do like Cam Ward and I do like Callahan. So I think this year you're going to see a 3-horse race between the Jags, Colts, and the Texans. Whoever can find some luck and some bounces at the end of the year may end up winning it. And then I think in next year, you're going to see the Texans in a bad spot. You're going to see the Colts in a bad spot. And I think you're going to see the Jags and the Titans kind of emerging as the 2 teams from the AFC South.
Interesting. Let's hear from you, Jordan.
I think the Texans are going to be not only a top 4 seed in the AFC, but actually one of the 4 best teams in the AFC, not just because they're winning the AFC South. I think that they're going to be excellent. I think they're going to be much better coached. They're giving CJ Stroud a lot more freedom at the line of scrimmage to check in and out of plays than he had last year. I think that it's just going to be much more buttoned up on the offensive line in terms of just understanding your assignment. Like, they were atrocious at just allowing, they're not even getting beat one-on-one, but just like allowing free runners, right? And so they've overhauled a lot of that. I don't love the talent on paper on the offensive line, but I love the talent everywhere else on their roster. I think they're going to have the best defense in football. If not best, top 3 very easily. And then I think that CJ Stroud with these receivers is going to be tough to stop. So I'm going to have them at like 11 wins. I'm going to have the Jags and Colts competing for second in the division. And I'm probably going to give it to the Jags because I believe more in what they have going on overall at the quarterback position by a wide margin, even though the Colts have done it respectably without good quarterback play over the last several years. That is a difficult way to live, very difficult way to live and continue to find success. I think that they're still going to be right there in the thick of things, but I'm going to take the Jaguars to finish ahead of them. And then the Titans bringing up the rear, but not by much. I think the Titans will be competitive this year. I think Cam Ward will make them exciting, and they have talent across the roster more than a lot of people are giving them credit for. But overall, the rookie quarterback with the inexperienced group of pass catchers outside of Calvin Ridley and Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett's, a little up there in age. I think that there's just going to be a little bit too much variance for them to be really in that like close to double-digit wins type of range. I think it's going to be, 6, 7, maybe 8.
6, 7.
Wow. Okay.
So that's where I'm at with the AFC South right now.
Yeah, and I know for myself, I mean, I think the Titans will start off not very good, and they're gonna be one of those teams that starts to rally a little bit late. They got a young roster, got a young quarterback. They'll start being able to close out games toward the end, but I'm still thinking maybe like 5-6 wins for them. I don't think the Colts will be that good. Like, I think Colts actually have like a decent roster in place, but I almost wonder if things are getting stale. And I think like last year, Pat McAfee was really calling into question like just the culture over there, right? And culture is a huge thing. Like, we know that over here. Like, you can have talent, but if you don't have the right coaching and if the culture isn't set, and we know Chris Ballard's been there forever, and since Chris Ballard has been the GM there, he's seen the Titans win the AFC South, the Jaguars win the AFC South, the Texans win the AFC South, and he hasn't done it. He's just watched all the other teams do it, right? And he's doing things this offseason he's never really done before. He's actually, paying the price for these premium free agents. And, it's almost like he's kind of GMing like it's his last year as a GM. So they're a team, and obviously now they're sitting Anthony Richardson. So it's going to be Daniel Jones at quarterback for them. But they're in a weird spot because, they could get potentially like 8 or 9 wins, but I don't know if they're in some kind of like a playoff mandate, because now with new ownership in there, they might be tempted just to because we all know what happens when there's new owners, right? They want to put their own stamp on the team. They want to bring in their own guys, and especially for how long it's been going on over there. Like, they might want a complete restart on the coaching staff and the front office. They're going to figure out what to do at the quarterback position. And, they're going to figure out what to do with, some of these guys, like the talented guys like DeForest Buckner, Quentin Nelson, that might be getting a little bit older. So I think they finish with maybe 6 or 7 wins. I don't think they're going to be that good. Jaguars, I think the floor is like 7 wins. I think the ceiling could be like 10 wins. So I'm going to put them maybe at like 8-9, 9-8 kind of range. And hopefully they can squeeze out a couple more games out of that. It's just a lot of question marks with the Jaguars, right? I mean, brand new roster. We all know there's a brand new coaching staff and stuff, but a lot of it just sits on number 16. Like, what kind of year is Trevor Lawrence going to have? Like, we've seen how well he can play, right? And we've seen, but we need to see more consistency. We need to see it more week in, week out. It's a big year for him, and I'm tired of every offseason kind of defending him, saying next year's going to be better, but I feel like we have a lot of good stuff in place for him to be successful. So I'm gonna put him there. Texans, I'll keep them at 10-7. Like, I don't know. Like, everyone said they're gonna make that next push last year to be up with the Ravens and Chiefs and Bills, but they didn't really make the push. They're definitely a tier away from those guys, and I just don't know how much better they are. Maybe that's me just because I don't like the Texans, but I don't think they're gonna be that much better, to be honest. So we'll see. We'll see. I know Westall had the Texans winning the AFC South, which is unfortunate, but there are some people dark horsing the Jaguars to win the AFC South. I know when you actually see like consistent stuff, most people are saying Texans, but there are some people out there that are putting the Jaguars as potential winners. So I don't know. That could be really intriguing if that happens.
Yeah, the Jaguars, when they've gotten new head coaches as of late, new regimes, there's precedent for them making a run to the playoffs and winning the division. It's not going to be easy. A lot of newness, a lot of people in positions of power that are learning on the fly. But I am excited for them. I think I squarely think they are headed in the right direction with this organization.
Well, I think the elephant in the room, and this may be like why a lot of Jags fans are at different levels of optimism and where they think they will finish. The elephant in the room, and this is for every team, is Trevor Lawrence going to stay healthy? And again, every team can say this about their starting quarterback, but we just have back-to-back years of him not staying healthy. So is it fair to say that if Trevor Lawrence stays healthy all year, this team hits the ceiling? And if he can't, we hit the floor? Is that kind of the reality of what we're all saying? Or obviously it's easy, no brainer, duh. But Trevor's got to stay healthy, right? That has to be
But is Trevor is the health really that much of an issue for him? Because you look at the injuries, like he got his ankle like stepped on in 2023. Right. That was rough. Alshire put an elbow to the forehead. Like I don't like. It's not like
that's not why he missed the end of the season.
Well, it was the shoulder.
I mean, I know that, but it was the shoulder. But
and that was his own fault.
And he didn't have off-season surgery on it. So it's not like Trevor Lawrence is out here running down the line and all of a sudden he's pulling up with a hamstring and that's his issue. Like, maybe a Tyson Campbell might have issues with, but I don't know. You can go on. I just don't know if I don't know if he's necessarily an injury guy, even though of course he's had injuries. I just think they're a little bit.
I don't think he's an injury prone player, but if it happens again, absolutely. You have to say he is.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the NFL. I mean, most people you could say not their fault, right? And it just, I just feel like that's the elephant in the room. It's like if Trevor's healthy all year, this team could be good, but it's been 2 years since we've seen Trevor do that. So I feel like that's kind of where Jags like levels are at. Is like some Jags fans are like, well, Trevor's going to miss 6 games, and then you got Nick Mullins in there who's got a noodle arm, and then
I don't think that he would play.
What do you think would happen?
I think they'd make a trade. I honestly do.
Which is a deal.
So I also think the question though is like, how good can the defense be? Because
I worry about that.
I mean, I think they can be good, but there's a lot of question marks still. And I think if Trevor Lawrence and this offense are humming, this defense can be opportunistic. They can force turnovers. They can be kind of like the 2022 Jags defense. But if you're having inconsistencies on offense, I don't think this defense plays very well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We got to generate turnovers because that's been because I know like maybe the Jaguars didn't necessarily have the best defense in 2022, but man, we were able just to commit turnovers like crazy, and we had a third pass rusher, right? So it's sometimes you just have those years where the ball kind of bounces your way, and unfortunately, so far in the preseason, it really isn't. I mean, you got one takeaway in the preseason. I hope that doesn't carry over into the regular season.
But you can't really.
I know it can't, but it's just I haven't. If we had like 5 turnovers, like I'd be feeling a lot better. But we'll see.
It's just you haven't seen the starters enough to really make an assessment.
Didn't even play last week.
Yeah.
No, I hear you. So we'll see what happens. I do want to get some super chats. I'm sorry, guys, I haven't gotten.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, B New became a member of, I believe it's Jordan's channel because he's been a member of mine. So
thank you, sir.
Jordan, what do you call your memberships? I know I have like Pride of.
It's like meow, roar.
Wow.
Something else.
Yeah.
All cat stuff.
Lots of cat stuff.
Jason loves it.
Jason loves it.
I had to not say a joke that you guys would be mad about. So let's just move on.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. You could say it on my channel. Okay? I don't know if it's approved on Jordan's channel.
Move on.
Jordan's a media guy. Okay, we gotta watch.
You're right. Exactly.
Tekken says better GM Balky or Jeff Carson draft day movie.
I hate that because it was the Jags that they pulled off that stupid trade with in that movie. Loved the movie, but when that part happened, I've never been able to rewatch it because of that.
Got to be Carson.
It's always those movies like if you're like an expert in whatever the movie is, like if you're a fugitive, you're gonna hate like jail movies, right? If you're a football fan, you're gonna hate. Well, I guess a guy that's been to jail. Maybe that was a bad. Well, I've seen there's one guy on YouTube that was like an ex-con and he like reacts to stuff and he was like reacting to like Breaking Bad heist and he's like, first of all, you're not gonna put your mask on when you're on the scene. Second of all, you're not gonna so. If you're an expert in stuff, you're going to pick apart everything, right? So if you
listen, Dalton, you don't have to tell us what kind of YouTube stuff you watch. Maybe keep that at home. I'll just say that.
Hey, everything.
Tell everybody what you watch on YouTube. Maybe.
Hey, it's 9:30 p.m. We're in Club Jaguar. we're in the nasty hour. Okay, so I can.
Hey, Vontae Mack, no matter what. That's all I got to say. Jeff Carson, baby.
All right, so we'll move on to Shane. He says, what does it tell you that we address interior defensive line and wide receiver more than safety, especially with the Ransaw injury? And an already questionable at best position. Well, I think the issue at safety is more starting level than depth. Like we had the depth, right?
Yeah.
It's just the starting caliber stuff that's, I mean,
have
we kept Daniel Thomas. He's a solid player
They
for
have
us.
like 6 number 3 safeties right now.
Yeah. And you're not finding starter really level talent. And the waivers is filling out the spot 50, 51, 53 on your roster.
My only
Eric
problem
Murray
is
started for a good team last year.
my only problem is Antonio Johnson. I really haven't seen much out of Antonio Johnson to make me a believer.
He's had a good camp and preseason, and he is a really good special teams player. That's what you definitely can say about him.
I'll trust
Heath Farwell loves. I mean, don't trust me. Trust Heath Farwell. Heath Farwell loves that dude.
I do like Heath Farwell. I do like him.
So we'll move on to another Max. He gave a 904 donation. He says, "We have the best running back room in the division." Interesting. What do you guys think about that?
I think Jonathan Taylor probably have something to say about that.
I was about to say that exact same thing.
I mean, I like Tony Pollard. I know Tajay Spears is injured right now, but that's a pretty good duo right there too.
And if everyone on the Texans is healthy, that they're clearly better, but they're not.
Yeah, Joe Mixon if he's healthy, but
so is Chubb going to actually be RB1 when the season starts?
Damian Pierce will probably be RB1 because
that's true.
Yeah, but
and they're going to be doing more gap/power run concepts, which fits Pierce more than the previous offense.
And Pierce has shown he can be a good back. Like, is he consistent? I don't know, but like he can be. I don't know if he will be, but he can be.
Dude, Damian Pierce is going to come in here and run all over him.
100%. That I can agree with you, Jordan. That I can agree.
I just hope we have an offense that can score points because we're
gonna have to be. We're gonna have to be. Like I know Jordan talked about earlier, like defense. Like Dalton, you said defense. Like, it's not defense doesn't matter. We're gonna have to outscore everybody, which we could do. So like that's what I think Cohen wants to do. So.
But I do think the defense could be an opportunistic defense if the offense is good.
That's fair.
Again, goes back to like the 2022 team.
Like I said, my hopeful best case situation here is that the Jaguars can be similar to the Bucs from last year, right? You make the playoffs because you have a really good offense that scores a lot of points, and you ultimately don't go very far in the playoffs because you have a defense that holds you back. I mean, I think that's I guess it's fair assessment as possible.
But you may be right. I hate that, but you may be right.
I mean, like obviously, like it'd be great to make the playoffs. I don't want to be that person that's like, AFC South is just good enough type of thing. But man, if we can somehow get into the playoffs this year, I mean, just get into the playoffs and then I don't know. I think that'd be a really good
on that
spot.
note, who's kind of made me like a little bit of a believer, and I was not for it when it happened, but Dwan Smoot has kind of made me like that. Dwan Smoot coming in as DN3.
How you gonna doubt Dwan Smoot?
I'm not gonna say anything.
Look, Smoot and Ogba, Gardeck,
Abdullah,
maybe. Yeah, remains to be seen in a real game. But these guys can get after it, and they can execute in different ways. And I asked James Gladstone today, like, there's been so much turnover on the defensive line in the last couple of weeks. How do you feel about where's your comfort level with this group? And he brought up something I've talked about a lot, Ogba and Smoot and Walker being able to rush from the interior.
Wait, can we take a second? Can we just take a second? It took an hour and 5 minutes for Jordan to pull the "I asked James Gladstone today" card.
I heard him.
Like it took an hour. Like you can I respect like an hour. Okay, that's fair. That's I
heard Jordan asking the questions. I'm on a show with that guy later. I felt super famous and important.
Yes, but yeah, realistically, I think that they got guys that can kick inside and do a good job from that perspective too. So I like the front. I think Eric Armstead's going to have a good year. How about that?
Jason doesn't like to hear that.
The operative word, think. I think.
Yeah, obviously.
I want him to, but
I think he will.
I'm a guy that like you got to show it to me for me to believe it. which
Yeah.
That's where I am with the Jaguars right now.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
people are
Well, I
like, "Oh,
wasn't-
you're too low." I'm like, I can't project the Jaguars to be great and make the playoffs. Like, because we all have this thing where we make the playoffs. That's awesome. It was a surprise. The next year we had these sky high expectations, and then we get dropped all the way down to like, to the bottom. And then I'm at the point where like, all right, you got to prove it to me again.
Right.
But the thing about this group is this regime, if they make the playoffs, it's not going to be like, okay, we made it. That is not within the
What do you
fabric or
mean?
the DNA. Okay, so like when the Jags made the playoffs in 2022, they sat on their hands all offseason the next year. They didn't do anything to try to improve the team. They said, okay, we're good enough. This is not a regime that will do that. They are going to try to improve the team every single day.
Okay.
Whether that works or not remains to be
Yeah.
seen. But I'm saying
I like
if
that,
they
yeah.
make the playoffs, they will not stand pat. They will try to push the thing forward.
The only thing that will probably happen is that Shad Khan's going to lay down the extensions. All you guys, 20-year extensions.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll just have to see. But, all right, guys, it was a fun show. Appreciate everyone for being here. Yeah, Jason, let us know what's coming up on your channel. I know you had you got to let basically the whole entire chat pick your fantasy team last night.
Yeah,
that was some good stuff.
It was just a series of unfortunate events where the only Jags game where I don't break down the film because none of the starters played also lined up with my big money fantasy league draft. So
How much money is in it?
Per team, it's like $200. That's big money to me. I'm sorry. I don't have
It's
it.
big money to me too.
That's our
my
home
leagues.
too.
Okay.
$200 bucks.
So like I had to like kind of pay attention. So I drafted my like starters and then I let like the chat draft my bench because, whatever, it's fun, right? But Tuesday nights, religiously, we do shows. We mix in shows every once in a while. I seem to be going on Twitch more than YouTube because I don't know, I'm a degen. So Jags United on Twitch if you care. If not,
Here's my issue with your draft though, Jason. You had 5 bench spots open, and you drafted Cam Little.
Okay, so here's my thought, and I know we're like past y'all's bedtime. Okay, I know that. Okay, but my thought is that Cam Little, if he hits like a 60-yarder and a 50-yarder in a game, that rivals like an average player. And like Cam Little hitting 2 field goals from 50 yards doesn't seem unconceivable to me. So I think if you're going to pick a kicker that can give you value as certain other starting players, I think Cam Little would be that guy. So that's why
he's on your bench.
Do what?
But he's on your bench.
No, it's Cam Little. I took Cam Little over like bench players.
He had like
first overall. Fuck it.
They were like 5 or 6 rounds left. Like I'm down with drafting Cam Little or a kicker. Or none of my leagues use kickers, thank God, because I hate kicker. I mean, there's so much variance. It's all dependent on team. You could have the best kicker in the league and you're gonna get like 2 points because all they do is score touchdowns.
That's what I'm saying is different about Cam Little. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but like
I was done.
I think Cam Little, there might be a huge gap between Cam Little and the next kicker because of his range and how the Jags trust him. That's all I was thinking.
Yeah. I think there's a couple kickers like that you could potentially make that argument for. Like Aubrey from the Cowboys, I think, is kind of in that situation. So, yeah, I don't have any problem with you drafting Cam Little over a bunch of scrubs on the bench.
That you're going to cut.
Hell yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. I mean, all the best kickers in the league are getting into legal trouble now. So it's opening up some opportunity for our boy Cam Little to really become the best kicker in the NFL.
If Cam Little is not careful, and this I know some people. If Cam Little's not careful, he's got to check himself. He's going down a McManus path. He's got to be careful. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, we are in a 9 o'clock nasty part. Yeah. So Jordan, you got to
leave y'all with that mystery there.
That's all I'm gonna say. It's all
you had to tune into Jaguars United on Friday night where he unveils all the secrets. See, he knows.
Nope, I don't. I got my sources. I let them stay anonymous, but. Cam Little, please, God, make good decisions is all I'm saying.
You're supposed to say, yeah, I'll unveil it on Friday, and then say, actually, guys, I'm really unveiling my cat's new outfit. And you just show, the little sweater that you bought him.
Jaguar jersey?
That's right.
Cam Little jersey. Or the
now we're
cat.
talking.
Ooh,
Now we're
I
talking.
like that. I like that. All right, Jordan, let us know what's coming up on how many videos you dropping tomorrow, 3 or 4? Let the chat know.
I gotta say tomorrow will probably be 2.
Nice.
Probably.
Nice.
Try
It's been
hard.
very busy the last few days. Pretty tired. Was it today that we traded for Tim Patrick?
It
Yes.
was this morning. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been making content today since like 6:50 a.m.
What a life.
So
What a life this
grinder.
guy leads.
It's a
pretty
grinder.
tired. And I did a lot of shipping today too.
Nice. Giving out the merch.
Yeah. So
It's a great time of year before the record turns around where it's time to buy merch, guys. So,
yeah.
And
I don't know where
Jordan-
it is.
And Ginjag's
Ginjag.com.
got great stuff.
They do,
They
yeah.
really do.
No,
Yeah.
it's good stuff. And consistent too. I mean, I don't know how many other shops, Jaguar, independent like Jaguar merch places have been coming out with it as long as Ginjag. So he's gone through all
That's right.
he knows the best vendors. They're all vetted. He's going to get you the best stuff. So yeah, ginjag.com/shop, right?
That's right.
Nice. I got
Almost.
the plug. I got the plug.
Nailed it.
There we go. But all right, guys. Appreciate everyone for being
What about
here.
you, Dalton? What do you got coming up?
He wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know what I have coming up. I'll figure something out. Live stream on Sunday for the. Oh wait, there's no game on Sunday. I don't know. What do you guys want? Leave in the comments what you guys want.
Live
and I'll drop it.
stream Florida versus Long Island.
Oh,
Yes.
That sounds
Yes.
awful. That sounds awful.
Yes.
I don't know how I can stream these NFL games, but these college games are like 4.5 hours. Like, no thanks. No thanks. What am I going to do at halftime when it's 45 minutes of nothing? Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But I can guarantee you, I will not be doing that. But all right, guys, we'll catch you guys right here next week for game week. In just 1 week. I'm pumped. Catch you guys later. Go Jags.
Go Jag.